Hey guys, it's me again, back this time with some HDR video lessons. Um, so our cameras at work are Canons, and we have the Magic Lantern hack installed, which I'll leave a link below to the website if you want to install it on your own camera. One of the modules in this program allows you to take HDR video, which I'm about to clip in some raw, unedited HDR video for you here. If you notice, epilepsy warning. It flashes very bright frames and very dark frames here, so go ahead and turn your head or whatever if you're about to have a seizure. That'd be unfortunate. So it alternates frames between a very light one to get all the detail in the dark areas and a very dark one to get all the detail from the brighter areas, or as much detail as possible anyway. Then later on we can recombine them into a final very nice video with a really high dynamic range, which in some cases looks great, other times it looks foggy and gray and boring, but you can fix that to a degree in post. So alright, so to get started you're going to open your Windows folder here with whatever movies you had. Go ahead and create a new folder with to throw your HDR videos in, and then just go through your videos one by one, and see which ones are HDR and which ones are not. Okay, so let's see, 4 HDR and 4 are normal. Awesome. Alright, so there is a workflow you can follow with this. I'll leave a link below as well so that you can download that base file. The installation's a little bit complicated. There are a couple things you have to install first, but once you get it going, it's really, really great. I'm going to assume you already have it installed, so at the moment I have 4 of these folders set up. I can run it simultaneously up to 4 or more times all at once, but I don't like to push it too much. I'd rather be able to use my system at the same time while it's processing. So I'm going to drop one movie into each of these folders. Right, and then I'm going to open each one. Right, and to set this up, if this is your first time running one of these, you're going to have a little notepad file that says like change me or number me or name this the number of your movie or whatever. It's just a blank text file that's up in this root directory. So go ahead and rename that to the ID number of your movie, which in my case is 1857, and then rename the movie in all caps RAW for raw. And you're going to do that in each one of your folders that you have set up. Alright, and then from here, just run the command line that says main, and it will load, sorry, they popped up on my other window. It'll load this command window, this virtual dub program here, this little window, and this little control window here. So it defaults by showing every single frame. up in the virtual dub window, but I like to turn it off. I think it speeds it up a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Go ahead and minimize all these, and then go through each folder and do the same thing. I'm going to pause this recording because this takes up a significant amount of memory while it runs. So, see you in a couple minutes. Alright, so I'm about halfway through the process here, and I organized my windows so that I could see the monitor the progress on all four actions here at once. So at the moment, Virtual Dub is ripping the frames, each individual frame out of the movie, and it's labeling one of them A and then a number, and the second one B and then a number, and then it goes back and forth. So you end up with all of your light frames as labeled A, and then their number, and all the dark frames are the B frames. Sometimes it switches them around. I don't really know why, but for the most part, it's light frames are A, B frames are dark. And you can see these progress bars here for this part of the process. But once it finishes ripping the frames, these virtual dub windows, the status windows they just disappear, and the command window pops up to action. Unfortunately, there is no progress bar for that stage, so you just have to wait until the command window stops updating, and the virtual dub video window will suddenly pop back up, but it won't be moving. It won't be updating or changing anything. And when you X that out, the command window will also close, and then you'll be free to do whatever you want with your new HDR frames. I'm recording this bit so that you can see what happens when the virtual dub window finishes up and transfers over to the command. Should be here in a second. Oops. So I had these organized wrong. But once that last window closed, it immediately started recombining the frames over here in this command window, as you can see. So I'm going to pause again and come back when these processes have finished. Alright, so it's been about 10, maybe 15 minutes since I started all four of those, and 3 of the processes have finished, but this one last process here is still finishing up. So the only really real way to tell roughly where you are is to open up the frames folder within that workflow. If you remember this, you can go into the frames. You're going to want to scroll down until you reach your B's or your A's or whatever. You can see that the B frames go up to 1152, and the recombined frames are only at 620 at the moment. So I've got maybe a couple minutes to go. I'm about halfway done with this, and I'll skip ahead to where I'm finished. Alright, so the process is all finished. The frames are all recombined, so we can go ahead and close out these windows now. And as you can see, when I close the virtual dub window, the command windows that they were tied to disappear as well. Cool. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and rename all of our frames folders in these workflows. Frames underscore and then the number of the video. If you're only doing one video, then this part isn't necessary, but if you're recombining up to clips from a house, that I've had 50 clips from a house before when I was first experimenting with Track, and trying to keep track of all of those without this numbering system would have been very difficult. So go ahead and rename your frames folder. Then you can delete the raw movie. And actually, I'm going to move the frames over to the desktop. Oh, whoops. Windows 8. Gotta love it. Let's see, rename this one 1859. Move that out. Delete the raw file. Close that. Seven. T58 raw. Close that. What's in this? No frames. All right. My frames disappeared. Let me go find them. Hang on. All right. So you're going to paste the frames folders into the same folder that you have these non-HDR videos in. If you're transferring files between a server or to another computer, you'll want to delete the A and B frames first. But since all of my files at the moment are on the same PC, it doesn't really matter. Okay, cool. And now you're going to open Photoshop. Alright, so with Photoshop, you can recombine all of the JPEG frames, your recombined HDR images, into a movie file again. You're going to go up. Oh, this only works in CS6 and Creative Cloud, though. If you have CS5, 5.5 extended, whatever that one was, or anything below that, you can sort of recombine them in Premiere. You can also do the same in After Effects, sort of, but it's a complicated process. For me, this is much simpler. And doing it through Photoshop also allows me to apply lens correction, which is extremely important in movies that are shot with a wide-angle lens. I don't know how to apply lens correction in Premiere or After Effects reliably yet. There's a lens correction setting, but like you have to manually adjust the distortion yourself. There's no quick, here's the lens I have, fix it for me type of thing. So Photoshop is the way to go for this. Alright, so you're going to start a new file. Bring my window back over. Name it the same number as your film, whatever you took care of. And then your document type, you're going to go down to Film and Video, and HD TV 1080p 29.97 frames per second. And that should set you up with a 1920 by 1080 color space here. And then just click OK. So I like to actually create files for all the frame sets I have at once, just so I can come through later and do things all at once each time. So I'm currently in my 1860 file. I have that open. I'm going to go up to Layer, Video Layers, New Video Layer from File. There we go. You're going to navigate to the directory where your files are at. You're going to open up the frames folder. You're going to look for the C frame, the C0000. Image sequence is already checked by default. I tried to make a macro where it would automatically load the C000 frame, or not, I'm sorry, not a macro, but an action. And in theory, it would have loaded the C frames automatically without you having to look through the directory, but it would load only that very first frame. It would not load the whole frame set. So also, if you type C0000 here, it will only load that one frame. It won't load the entire video for you. So you have to scroll down through here and click on that top C frame. When you're ready, just hit open, and it could take a couple minutes. If all the files are on your computer, this will be very quick. It'll load extremely quickly and just be ready for you to edit immediately. But if the frames are over a network or on another drive, or a very slow USB drive, this can take several minutes to open. That's why you want to move these frame sets onto your PC, because that makes this significantly faster. So for this movie, you can see down here in the timeline window, this is the movie we have, the recombined frames. The very final frame is one of the bright ones, as you can see how it suddenly brightens up there. But the rest of it, you can see out the window. You get all the detail from the blinds. You can even see the house across the street, the window at least through the view. It's kind of a gray image, kind of dull, kind of flat. But we're going to bring the colors back and the contrast back in Premiere later. So for now, you're going to just delete the background layer, leave it so that there's only this video layer here, and then File, Save, and make sure you save it up in this directory that has your frames and the non-HDR movies in it. You're going to save it to this directory, and I'll tell you why in a minute here. So just click Save whenever you're ready, and then make sure you save it as a PSD, by the way. Go ahead and close that out, and then go to your next file. So let's see, 1859. We're going to find the C frame. There it is. So delete the background layer. File, save. Save it up in that video directory again and again as a PSD. And then go to the next one. Alright, so there was an error. One of the frames is missing. You can see here there's a single blank, completely transparent frame. This isn't something we can fix here. It should be easy enough to go into Premiere and remove that frame from this clip and shorten it by one frame there, and that'll take care of the problem. So we will deal with it when we get there. In the meantime, just go ahead and save like normal. And close it. And minimize Photoshop. Whoops. Pull bridge back, and so here's why we put the PSD files in the same directory as the plain .mov files. What we're going to run right now is a batch process. Go up to Tools, Photoshop, and we're going to run a batch process. Go to Photoshop, Batch, so I've got Photoshop in the other window here, had to move it back. It'll bring up this little batch window dialog. Hopefully I've set this up on your computer already. If not, I may have a working link somewhere, but so far this only seems to work on a computer by computer basis. I have to manually go in and fix, tweak some things to these to fit each computer. At the moment, I've got 3 different rendering levels here. Video render batch, the one I have highlighted right now, will turn your frame set into a movie file and export that immediately. This is the fastest one. If you have no time and you have to get a video to a client as fast as possible, this one's the way to go. This will give you back your HDR videos quickly, but this does not apply lens correction. This does not apply noise reduction. This is just pure and simple, turning it back into a video and popping it back out. Video render LC will apply lens correction, which is why we put all the videos and PSDs in the same folder, so that we can apply lens correction both to the HDR videos, and it'll also re-render the plain videos, the .mov files. It'll re-render those with lens correction in them, so that walls that are near the edges of your your screen, won't be bent out of shape like they usually are. This will help minimize that. Video render batch plus takes forever. It's the slowest one, but that's because it applies noise reduction to every single frame, as well as lens correction. This works on the movie files and the HDR files. So depending on how much time you have, if you're leaving the office and you're setting up some videos to render overnight, Video Render Batch Plus is the way to go there. But if it's the morning and you've got to get a video done by the afternoon, and you're starting from nothing, LC is what you want to run. That'll give you the basic lens correction, but it won't take all night to process. So I'm going to run Plus just because I have time. Make sure all these boxes are unchecked, that there's no destination. Don't touch anything. It should be set up to where it will automatically render files to your desktop, and that's why it only works on a computer by computer basis. I have to change the file directory for every time I set it up on a new computer, because the username is slightly different, or the directory didn't quite land right. It's weird. It's goofy. Alright, so once you've got that all done, just click OK, and then it will proceed to, from Bridge, load each of those files that you had selected and export them one by one to your desktop. During this time, you can't access Photoshop at all. It won't respond to buttons. You can't mouse over anything or change anything. Even if you hit cancel, it can sometimes take minutes to finally respond and ask you if you're sure. So this should be something you do at the very end of the day, or if there's a computer free that nobody's using, use it on that and then expect to wait. So once all these files are ready to go, you can throw them into Premiere and start editing that way. But that's another video for another day. So, all right, thanks for watching.